Every time I go and visit my brother Harry, and we go up to see my mum and dad, and we have great memories of my mum and dad, but we also have bad memories, especially the time when the house was repossessed. It was the house that I bought for my mum and dad, and it was devastating, really. It was devastating. It was very hard thing to go through. It wasn't just a little present that I bought for mum and dad. I'd moved them from their council flat into the house that I bought for them. And, you know, it was magic. It was great. It was a beautiful house. And I had to give it all away. And my mum and dad had to go sort of more or less back on the council waiting list, and it was all gone. The dream was... it was all gone. Where what the thieving people did is they stole our money. They knew that we would end up bankrupt. We just need to find the culprits.
You see, I'm 6'1" and I'm tons of fun, and I guess to a T. You see, I got more clothes than Muhammad Ali, and I dress so viciously. I got bodyguards, I got...
His master's voice.
At the height of roller mania, income from record sales was nearly £300 million in today's money. Now, nearly 30 years later, there are still over 80 Rollers albums and compilations on sale.
There's a lot of Les McCune's voice and a lot of records out there, you know, that are still being sold. Somebody's making money off of my back, and I'm determined to find out who it is. Basic Rollers. Basic Rollers by Baby. Another one. Basic Rollers. I think I'm going to need a trolley to get the amount of records that I'm on here. Unbelievable.
The Bay City Rollers signed with Arista Records in 1975, but since 1979 that record agreement has not been honoured.
A record agreement generally is made up of duties and rights, burdens and obligations. And historically, and to the present day pretty much, record agreements tend to be pretty heavy on the rights and pretty light on the duties. And some of them only have one duty. But the one duty that is common to all record agreements is that you must account to and deliver payment to the artists who perform on the recordings that you exploit. The record label is the start of the payment chain. If the record label chooses to make life difficult for you, it can do so. You can kick and scream and shout, but until they tell you what's happened, you don't know.
Arista Records are making life difficult for Les. Despite their legal obligation to do so, they've not given the Rollers their royalties, or even provided any detailed accounts to show the band how many records have been sold.
Bad enough having a band that were actually lambasted by the press and everybody took the mickey out of for years, that have only recently kind of moved into any meaningful critical focus. If the downside of that is you didn't even get paid for it.
Hello there.
Got that and then keep on with that one.
Didn't that look good in those days?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you still take Green Shield stamps here? Argos points. Tesco card, can you use Tesco?
No, you don't.
Orange vouchers.
Arista disputes the number of Bay City Rollers records sold. They say they can't deal with the Rollers because infighting between the band members puts Arista at risk of legal action if they pay the wrong person.
I saw one concert when I was in Glasgow. I couldn't believe it. I had never been to see the Rollers. Never seen anything like it in my life. So there was magic money being made by somebody, and that was the Rollers. Where that money was going, I have no idea, because they wrote some of their own songs in the first album. They then, when we left them, they wrote the songs. They played big stadiums. The merchandising must have been colossal. Colossal. It was the biggest since the Beatles. There was so much happening with those boys.
In the past year, pop mania has come back to Britain, and most of the screaming has been for a British group, the Bay City Rollers. This was Roller Mania in action, 2 hours before the concert was due to start. The volunteers of the St John Ambulance Brigade had a busy time calming and comforting the fans caught up in the hysteria.
So how long have you been fans of the Rollers then?
About 18 months.
Uh-huh. And how many pictures of them have you got?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. And they're all here, are they? In your bedroom? Wow.
There must be thousands of fans with bedroom walls covered with pictures of the Bay City Rollers, and the selling of pop souvenirs is big business, worth about £5 million a year. Last year, the Rollers' share of this market was more than £1 million.
I tried to get the merchandising thing together, but then I was dealing with 5 young men who couldn't even get on together. So I was having to travel on the road and do the tours with them. I was having to try and get the merchandise together. So really, I would have had to be in a bit of an octopus with all these legs, trying to organise different things at different times. I reckon we lost thousands on merchandising, you know. I wouldn't say hundreds of thousands.
In fact, it's estimated that millions of pounds from merchandising deals alone slipped through the Rollers' fingers. The band never saw a single penny from this exploitation.
We did speak about musical ability. I'm afraid there was no musical ability there. And the only way that we're going to make it was on an image. I mean, I was able to sell this image, the tight trousers, the bulge, you know, how they looked, how they smiled. Really, the girls at the front were all screaming, but they were screaming because of the tight trousers and how the guy looked. They weren't even interested in what he was producing or how he sounded or how they played.
You know, people ask me the question, what were the dynamics when they worked in the studio? We used session musicians, so they were there, but they sang, and that was about it. The Bay City Rollers were really Bill Martin, Phil Coulter, and session musicians. Les sang, they did some harmonies, we helped it out. That's what it was. I never saw them ever playing instruments, except for that one concert at Green's Playhouse, which they were very good, but you couldn't hear them because the teenagers were screaming.
British teenagers couldn't get enough of the Rollers, but the band broke 1 million hearts in the UK when, in 1976, they left to conquer the States. Roller Mania hit America with a bang. The band notched up 18 top 5 hits and are still today one of the biggest selling British acts in the States.
The whole madness happened, you know, you just couldn't walk the streets, you couldn't go for Christmas presents or anything like that, you couldn't do anything. You were just getting hounded everywhere you went. When we used to go into hotel rooms, you had to check the wardrobes or under the beds in case there were girls there. I wish.
Best aspects about being in a top-selling band, power over pussy, pop. That's what they used to call it. Access, all areas. That's the best bit. It was great. That's all I can say, it was brilliant.